Listen to me very carefully. What has happened in the last 60 minutes in the Persian Gulf is not just a military escalation, it is the end of the world as you were told it exists. While the talking heads on the networks are reading from prepared scripts provided by the State Department, I am looking at raw data from the theater that tells a much darker story. The truth is harsher than anything you'll hear on the news. In my time in military intelligence, I've seen how the machine hides the bodies, how it hides the failures, but they cannot hide this. I have been analyzing theater-level conflicts for decades, and the signatures coming out of the Strait of Hormuz right now are unlike anything the United States military has ever faced. We are talking about a total systemic collapse of American projection in the Middle East, and Donald Trump has just made a move that signals he knows exactly what the Pentagon won't admit. We are outmatched, outgunned, and out of time. Stay with me, because the most shocking part of this, the actual smoking gun that the Pentagon is trying to bury, is coming in just a moment. You need to understand the reality on the ground. Right now, the sky over the Persian Gulf is not blue. It is a bruised, flickering orange. The smell of cordite and heavy crude oil is thick enough to choke on. The air is vibrating. If you were standing on the deck of a Ticonderoga-class cruiser right now, your teeth would be rattling from the percussive force of Wave 55 of Operation True Promise. This isn't a skirmish, this is a technical execution. Having analyzed these kill chains for 30 years, I can tell you that the IRGC has achieved what we call Aegis system saturation. This is the nightmare scenario we wargamed back in the 90s, and we lost then, and we are losing now. The IRGC isn't just targeting ships, they are dismantling the very idea of American naval supremacy. My sources in the region are reporting that the IRGC has deployed the Fata-1 hypersonic missile. These are Mach 15 signatures. Do you understand what that means for a sailor sitting in a CIC? It means by the time the radar registers the blip, the missile has already impacted the hull. The SM-3 interceptors, which cost us millions of dollars a pop, are being fired into empty space. They are swinging at ghosts. We are watching $50,000 drones, simple, mass-produced Command 22s, exhausting our billion-dollar magazines. It is a mathematical certainty that if this continues for another 6 hours, the Fifth Fleet will be sitting ducks, floating iron coffins with no defensive capability left. And this is why the order came down. Trump has ordered an immediate evacuation of all non-essential personnel and a strategic withdrawal of assets from the immediate strike zones within Iran's reach. The media will call it a repositioning. That is a lie. It is a retreat. It is an admission that the Persian Gulf has become a no-go zone for the United States Navy. I will reveal the specific memo that triggered this evacuation by the end of this video, but first you have to understand the escalation ladder we are climbing at a dead sprint. We started with a tactical strike, a few drones, a few fast boats, but the stress response loop has moved past that. We are now in a full regional war. The IRGC has activated its gray zone assets from Lebanon to Yemen, but it goes deeper. If the Strait of Hormuz closes, and my data shows the IRGC has already pre-positioned sea mines that can bypass our current mine-sweeping tech, the global economy doesn't just dip, it vanishes. We are looking at $15 gas at the pump by next Tuesday. Your bank account, your 401k, the very paper in your wallet is tied to the petrodollar. That system requires the U.S. Navy to guarantee the flow of oil. If the Navy is evacuating, the petrodollar is dead. The elites in D.C. think they can manage this, but they are playing with a deck of cards that is already on fire. The sensory data coming in is harrowing, flickering communication lines across CENTCOM. The red phone is ringing and no one is picking up on the other side. The IRGC's electronic warfare suites have created a blackout dome over the northern Gulf. Our pilots are flying blind. They are seeing streaks of light. Those are the Fata ones, and then nothing but static. I feel a sense of patriotic anger as I watch our boys being hung out to dry by a command structure that refused to acknowledge that Iran has spent 20 years building an asymmetric A2AD anti-access area denial envelope. They told you Iran was a backward country with old tech. They lied. They have Mach 7 and Mach 15 signatures. while we are still trying to get our railgun projects off the ground. And now we reach the next rung of the ladder, global economic collapse. This isn't just about ships burning, it's about the SWIFT system being bypassed. While you're worried about the news, the BRICS nations are watching this evacuation and they are hitting delete on the US Treasury bond. If we can't protect the Gulf, we can't back the dollar. This means the prices of bread, milk, and medicine are about to skyrocket in a way that will make the 1970s look like the golden age of prosperity. I've seen the internal projections. They are expecting a 40% devaluation of the dollar within 72 hours of a confirmed sinking of a U.S. carrier. And let me tell you, the USS Abraham Lincoln is currently in a high threat posture that my sources say is unsustainable. But I promised you the smoking gun. I promised you the truth the Pentagon is hiding. I have seen the technical reports on the saturation threshold of our Aegis destroyers. The military-industrial complex has been charging you, the taxpayer, for a shield that is made of glass. The IRGC knows the exact refresh rate of our SPY-1 radars. They are timing their volleys to hit in the blind seconds. This isn't luck, it's intelligence. There is a leak, or there is a level of technological parity that the elites have been hiding from you to keep the defense contracts flowing. Trump's evacuation order is a desperate attempt to save the hardware before it becomes a graveyard, but more importantly, it's an attempt to stop the escalation before we hit the unthinkable scenario. We are now at the threshold. If the U.S. retaliates with the proportional force the generals are screaming for, Iran has made it clear they will use their strategic deterrence. In military intelligence, we don't use the word nuclear lightly, but we have to look at the reality of the Hezbollah-Iran-Russia nexus. If the IRGC targets ships and we respond by hitting the Iranian mainland, the entire world enters a terminal stress response loop. We are talking about hypersonic strikes on our bases in Qatar and the UAE. We are talking about the unthinkable moving from a movie script to your front door. I've analyzed these theater-level conflicts for decades, and I've never seen the reality on the ground diverge so sharply from the reality on the screen. The media is telling you we are in control. The data I am seeing says we are in a state of chaotic retreat. I feel a deep grief for the troops, the young Marines, the sailors, who are being used as pawns in a game the leadership has already lost. I remember the smell of the sand and the oil in the Gulf. I remember the weight of the responsibility of getting those men home. Seeing them abandoned in a theater where the enemy has total escalation dominance is something that should make every American's blood boil. Now look at the logistics. To evacuate the personnel Trump is calling for, we have to move C-17s and C-130s through airspace that is currently contested by S-400 and S-300 missile batteries. This isn't a bus ride, it is a gauntlet. The IRGC is watching every tail number. They are letting us leave for now because it proves their point. It proves the American century is over. The Aegis system saturation I mentioned earlier isn't just a tactical term, it's a metaphor for our entire foreign policy. We have too many commitments, too much debt, and not enough real-world capability to back it up. Think about your bank account. I want you to really think about it. If the IRGC sinks one, just one, Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, the insurance premiums for every commercial vessel in the world will quadruple overnight. That means the electronics you buy, the food you eat, the fuel you use, it all becomes luxury goods. The elites have their bunkers. They have their private jets. They don't care if gas is $15 or $50, but you do. And they are hiding the fact that this evacuation is a direct result of their failure to maintain a military that can actually win a peer-to-peer conflict. Wait, it gets worse. Stay with me because this is the part they really don't want you to hear. The smoking gun isn't just a memo. It's a realization that our satellite constellation, the very eyes and ears of the U.S. military, is being jammed by tech we didn't think Iran possessed. My sources are reporting flickering in our GPS and communication satellites over the entire Persian Gulf sector. This is why the evacuation is immediate. We are losing our ability to see the battlefield. In military terms, we are being blinded and deafened before the final blow is struck. The IRGC targets ships not just to sink them, but to humiliate the flag. They are using Mach 7 hypersonic signatures to show the world that the great Satan is a paper tiger. And while this happens, the mainstream media is talking about celebrity gossip and domestic political bickering. They are keeping you distracted while the very foundation of your security is being liquidated. I've seen this play out before, but never on this scale. This is the big one. This is the shift that changes the map of the world forever. I want you to feel the urgency. This isn't geopolitical theory, this is geopolitical reality. When the IRGC's Wave 55 hit, it wasn't just a military strike, it was a signal to every American that the era of cheap energy and easy security is finished. The data I am seeing from my sources in the region suggests that the evacuation is not just for non-essential staff. They are clearing the decks for a potential scorched earth policy. But here is the catch. You can't scorch an earth you can't reach. Our bombers are being pushed further and further back. Our carriers are being forced out of the Gulf and into the open Arabian Sea, where they are less effective but supposedly safer, except they aren't safe from hypersonics. The emotional weight of this is staggering. There is a sense of insider pride in knowing the truth, but it's tempered by a profound fear for what comes next for the average American family. You've been lied to for so long that the truth feels like a punch to the gut. But you have to take it. You have to understand that the Pentagon is in a state of absolute panic because their super weapons are being defeated by asymmetric innovation. They are using SM-3 interceptors against $50,000 drones. That is a losing trade. You can't win a war when your bullets cost 1,000 times more than the target. As the evacuation continues, look for the signs. Look for the technical difficulties on the news. Look for the sudden market volatility that they will blame on anything but the truth. The truth is that the IRGC has closed the Gulf and the United States has been forced to blink. Trump's order is the only logical move in a series of terrible options, but it is an option that signals the end of an era. The history of these weapon systems tells the story. The Aegis system was designed to fight the Soviet Union in the open ocean. It was never meant to fight 10,000 drones and hypersonic missiles in a bathtub like the Persian Gulf. The psychological state of the decision makers in the Pentagon is one of cognitive dissonance. They cannot believe that the inferior enemy has checkmated them. They are staring at their screens, watching Mach 15 signatures, and realizing that the trillions of dollars they spent on stealth and complexity mean nothing when the enemy can simply saturate your sensors. This is the reality the elites don't want you to see. They want you to stay calm so you don't pull your money out of the system. They want you to stay calm so you don't start asking why your sons and daughters are stationed on iron coffins in the Gulf. But I am telling you now, the world changed an hour ago. The Persian Gulf is no longer an American lake. The IRGC is targeting ships with impunity, and our response is to run. By the time this video ends, the situation will have likely escalated further. The deferred payoff I mentioned, the final realization of the smoking gun, is this. The U.S. military has officially lost the ability to protect the global energy supply. That is the secret. That is what the evacuation confirms. We are no longer the guarantors of the global order. We are a retreating power, trying to salvage what we can before the unthinkable becomes the inevitable. Stay alert. Keep your eyes on the real data, not the scrubbed feeds. The sirens you hear in the distance aren't just for the ships in the Gulf, they are for the world we used to live in. The smell of cordite and the orange skies are a warning. The military insider perspective isn't about bragging, it's about survival. You need to know what is coming so you can prepare for a world where $15 gas and a collapsed dollar are the new normal. Trump knows it. The IRGC knows it. And now you know it too. The media will try to spin this. They will say the evacuation was planned. They will say the IRGC missed. They will say the Aegis system performed as expected. Do not believe them. Look at the mock numbers. Look at the logistics. Look at the panic in the eyes of the experts when they think the cameras are off. This is Wave 55. This is the saturation point. This is the reality on the ground that they desperately tried to hide from you. The truth is harsh, it is urgent, and it is here. You need to see this right now, because tomorrow, the world you knew will be gone, replaced by the flickering light of a burning tanker in the Strait of Hormuz, and the cold reality of a nation that waited too long to face the truth.